promoting public support for human rights, promoting respect for human rights and among individuals and corporations, obtaining redress for the victims of human rights abuse, relieving need among the victims of human rights abuse. SYR's future plans are to establish human rights and promote forced marriage as a global unit, also to unite organisations and countries to work together. There are already few countries which are participating and giving their support for our organisation.
It's me and Joy, plus all the volunteers been working hard. Thank you for your kind or support to us. All I can say, maybe we need to do more. I would like to congratulate Ashuk Ahmed. Recently he's been awarded as MP. Ashuk Ahmed.
Kidnapping, violence, physical violence, threatening, coercion, stealing passport, all kinds of abuses take place, and those things definitely are criminal offences. And now that the Civil Act is there, which doesn't really per se tells us that forced marriage is a criminal offence, but lots of things together within the forced marriage can make it criminal act in various aspects of it. But how many people who are actually committing these kinds of things know that? I ask you this question. How many people who are perpetrating forced marriage know that they are breaking the law of this country?
Certainly there are instances in all societies, and Islamic society is not exempt, without exception. It is going through times, and it has been going through times when people take religion and they abuse it. When they take a culture and they abuse it. Lack of knowledge of a religion is what causes these misunderstandings and brings about chaos and anarchy for people. Heartache for families, for children that are also casualties of that marriage. So forced marriages is a very profound subject close to my heart, which I want no two people to go through ever. And that is only because I'm a Muslim and my faith dictates that. It gives right to the woman and to the man from the very beginning, first and foremost to the woman.
The thing is, in Shakespearean time, the condemnation was there. What the hell are we doing here in the 21st century? Can we not together condemn this abuse from happening and see what the impact of this on people? Because all these good people who are here, they're here because they hate it. They don't want to accept it. Raise your voice together and you can do it.
If somebody gets married in Pakistan, the forced marriage has happened in Pakistan. It was conspired against here, but it's happened in Pakistan. That's under a different jurisdiction. I'm just giving Pakistan as an example. It can be India, it can be anywhere. It happened in Pakistan. It's a different jurisdiction. What can the British law do for them?
If there's some kind of conspiracy here to take you out of the country, and we've got to remember that actually forcing someone into a marriage is not a criminal offence, but if we could prove, for example, that there was the agreement here between several people to kidnap someone or to imprison them and take them abroad that way, then we could actually prosecute for certain offences if we could prove that there was the agreement here.
Man ra'a minkum munkaran, whoever of you sees evil, falyughayyirhu biyadihi, change it with your ability, with your power, with your authority, with your hand. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, if you cannot do that for one reason or other, فَبِلِسَانِ, then you speak out against it. You speak out against it and you talk to other people, or talk to other people who will speak out against it. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, if you can't even do that, فَبِالْقَلْبِ, then at least in your heart you should know that that was wrong. And this person should not have done this. This person should not have done this to me, to this, Tom, Dick or Harry. It will take time to eradicate evil from amongst us, from within us and without us, but we should not fear of doing the right thing at the right time, by the right means, to the right people. May the Lord guide us to the right way.
The local communities, maybe even see if you can get like the imams to go into the schools or at the mosques and stuff to tell them more, because a sort of a Western person standing up and saying that, you just don't feel like you're going to have a lot of influence, and you also don't feel confident that you're not treading on territory that you and upsetting people. They don't want loads of parents writing into schools and complaining and you're interfering in our religion and our culture. So I think it is important that I understand that it is hard for the schools, as well. It's a sensitive issue.
The people know, the young people or whoever or sometimes the parents feel as well. If the the girls ran away, where are they going to go? And why the girls run? This kind of thing we need to have somewhere a central point where there is a support structure available.
For me, it's a very slow process on helping, because people have, I think, wanted support for years ago, and for some reason, you don't really see much sort of agencies of support out there for these people. And my sort of question, probably for the panel, is: has the number of cases of forced marriages in your research been increasing or decreasing? And also, what sort of strategies are you, in Buckinghamshire, are you going to introduce to try to reduce it?
I mean, so far, if there has been any issues, we work closely with the police, we work closely with social services and the immigration. We've got our local MP who supports us in any area that we need to be tackling.
I would like to really find a way to give them the voice, and that is the prevention that I have been talking about throughout today, that we have to have preventative measures, educating people so that this doesn't happen, so that people who are not really confident enough to come forward and seek help can also be helped. And if that educational program is not done, then only one side of the coin you will be able to see, that is just reacting to those people who are coming for help, and ignoring those people who are the vast majority who are suffering in silence.
That the children also need to develop a communication with their father. I think in many cases they probably feel more comfortable, but they need to find the inner strength to talk to their father, because sometimes that lack of communication that is missing. So I think there should be some more centres or something available, because I think that's what the Asian, probably more females in Aylesbury do lacking. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for them to go anywhere to openly talk or discuss any issues.
And it's sad to see this campaign is set up. I've been in Aylesbury for the last 40 years. I must say I was surprised that this thing is happening in Aylesbury, because knowledge of Aylesbury, I must say that if it does happen, it's happening in very minority. And those minority who haven't knows about it, whether it's local authority or social services, and they all put lid on it. It doesn't come out to community, it doesn't come up to people like us, it doesn't come up to imams very openly that this issue is in Aylesbury.
And you are very lucky that you've got a very good relationship with your daughters. And I hope there are more dads like you in this town, because they are not. You are one in God knows how many, and I know that. I know, how close you are with your daughters, but there are many men who are not. And believe me, I don't joke about things. Thank you.
When it comes to forced marriage, it's not always your mother that's forcing you. She's very sympathetic. She doesn't want her children to be forcibly married and so on. I've noticed it's more so the fathers because of certain traditions and everything. I mean, what I want to ask Imam Dian, is there any possible way, because I have not seen any fathers come today, to be honest, is there any possible way where the mosque or any Islamic institute can educate our fathers? Because our mothers are, if anything, quite scared to go against their decisions.
And I'm also at pains at telling the young men coming to me and the young women coming to me complaining of forced marriages. I tell them, your parents have done a lot for you in terms of financial support. It may be emotional support too. That does not mean that you should give in your rights. That is part of their duty. And as part of the duty of the imam, the leader of the community, he is one who guides them. The core imam's duty is to bring about a safe and secure environment for each to look at one another with respect and honor, and bring about cohesion and understanding. For the men, yes, mostly will be at the mosque. For the women, there are public address systems where they can understand their religion and their rights at home. But that shouldn't be solely it. Just as the men have equal right to the mosque, so do women have that too. Again, social bounds and social restriction and domestic situation forces a woman to stay at home looking after the children while the men go out to win the bread or go to the mosque. But other avenues can be approached. It's the imam's duty really to ensure that Friday sermons, they convey the duties towards the closer community, that's the family, and to the wider community, their duties and their rights.
And deep down to heart, I am totally against the deep, forced marriage. It's not in Islam, not in Pakistan. And those minority are doing it, we need to put stop to it. How are we going to do it? The way is to make it more mediable, more so the message can go out. When we've got 20 or 50 people in there, there's thousands of community out in there, majority of them didn't touch to come in. This message probably won't go to them. So those are who are actually causing this, is to put labels on majority of Asian community. I think those minorities should be broadly more visible, so the impact can be made to stop this happening further. But once in marriages happen, a child life is spoiled. All they can do is sit in the corner and cry. We've got to do this, that before the marriage taken place, how can they be brave enough, or can they be encouraged to come out and speak and put stop it to at the right time?
It is a social control, not just Islam, but any religion is a social control element, and it's a tool that can be used to enforce the view of the majority. I'm sure a person without a religion, without any kind of backing of any particular religion, has social and moral etiquettes, will say it's wrong. Religion is just enforcing that. It's not adding a personal view on it. It's just enforcing, yes, from a religion point, you're a Muslim, yes, you're a Hindu, you're a Buddhist, you're a Christian, whoever you are, if we morally have no religion and are morally saying it's wrong, but all morality is from religion, so why aren't you saying it's wrong? I understand why you say what you say. We've got that tool, religion, a social control tool, which we can use as an aid. So we will approach a Muslim and say, look, does your religion condone this? No. What about you, Hindu? Does your religion condone this? No. So these are, again, multi-faith agencies as well as multi-agency approach which we need to apply. And you are right, it's not only an Islamic problem. It is a cultural problem, yes, which has culture and religion has somewhat married one another, a forced marriage of the twain. Yeah? Culture and religion, we need to separate these two as well.
So do you think that other religious views or other cultures should be aware? Because it used to even be in England, this, is still in the higher hierarchy of, in like the Queensland, you still have to have maybe a religious view of your parents. Should we just be saying it's just an Islamic family? Should we be having a look at a wider view and not be imposing our religious views on, a majority view that we can't really say what's happening?
Well, the reason whatsoever, because for example, we have, through my own research, I have seen quite a lot of Sikh girls and boys pushed into these kind of marriages. And Hindus, absolutely no question about that. And interestingly enough, Orthodox Jewish families, we suspect, I haven't found yet, because in Luton they are not in large numbers. But I was told by some of my other researcher colleagues that in Orthodox Jewish families this might be happening. We don't know. And so they can be used as well. In multi-agency approaches, all kinds of tools and apparatus should be used to prevent these things from happening. But you are absolutely right, this is not a religious thing. And just to sort of disagree with the Imam a little bit, it's not even a cultural thing. I wouldn't believe that anybody's culture should have abusive practices, because if you are from Pakistan and you have a Pakistani culture, and then you say that quite a lot of Pakistanis are carrying out forced marriages, I don't believe it's part of their culture. It's part of those families where patriarchal family structure and control system is such that they force certain things on younger people. And that has nothing to do with the culture of that country, or even that country as a whole. Similarly, I come from Bangladesh, and I will never believe it's part of my culture in Bangladesh, never.
I know you say you've got all these organisations to help these girls, and like, you know, the police, the social services, everything. But as you know, in the Asian society, it's a deep-rooted problem. So I know you might help a lot of people, but I'm sure there's 80% of girls and boys out there who we're not getting to. How are we going to get to them? And don't you think we should actually be educating the Pakistani community? And, you know, like, we've got all these westernised people here that are actually educated to help us. I'm a person who was in arranged marriage. I've got daughters now, so it will come up at some point. I've come to Aylesbury and I see culture really strongly here. It actually overtakes the religion, and people back off. Like they were saying, they couldn't get through to the Imam. Well, obviously, he didn't want to give his opinion, because his opinion, if he's from Pakistan or if he's Asian, he's not going to want us to get our daughters married in this country. They're going to want everybody coming over in this country, and I'm disgusted as a parent. And I stand up for my daughters and for any other daughters out there who want any help. But don't you think that we should be tackling this on, like, tackling with the public, the community? It's them that we need to get to educate the parents who are actually bringing kids up in this country, even though they've got school, as if we're living in Pakistan, and we're not.
You will be hopeful that something is happening. And then the education about the law of this country is important as well, because many of these
they don't know the
parents
consequences
are living a parallel life, as it were, because they don't
don't
know
know
they are breaking the law, or there is any consequence of breaking the law. So that kind of awareness will have to be given to them as well. But how do we do that? We'll have to have the community organizations like this, this group. There are many other groups, and I'm sure in Aylesbury there could be some young people who will be, like you, will be able to lead certain groups where they should get support from the local authority and various other agencies.
Within communities as part of that group, so they need to keep their identity because of the level of threat to themselves. When we're talking about individual women, a lot of the young girls get signposted to the police, because what we try to do within the limits that we have is we try to protect and safeguard their welfare, and that's done through a variety of control measures. The only weakness in that process, I would say, is that part of that is to isolate them from their own families and their own communities. CPS, we've started recently to measure this type of crime, to measure the impact on the communities. So we are working on it, and we are working with partners to help. But as I say, we work on it at different levels. We work on it within the unit that I work on with vulnerable women and men, some men. But you also have the delivery from the neighbourhood policing teams.
If the woman says, no, I don't, where do you go? Do you support her? Do you tell the family, or does she have to go back and tell the family? Does the support start with you?
It starts with me, and it should end with me. Because if I'm not going to raise the voice now, I'm in contempt of my religion, contempt of God and his commandments, and contempt of support that I should be assisting this woman in. So I'm failing on the rights of God and the rights of his creatures on both accounts. That is where it should stop. Sadly, the Imam does not find out, though he may have a sense, and he wants to take this out of this woman, whether it is or not. For some reason or other, only she would know why she's doing this. The Imam is supposed to go along. He's got, as Mr. Manzoor says, he's got no voice until he gets the backing. If she says, I need support, then it is incumbent upon every sane, adult, able person to support this woman in her times of need, and not to put greater load in her boat to sink it. And that is where it starts, and that is where it should stop.
So for us, I am being a father, I feel the way to send a message out, to prosecute someone, do some hard work and send a message out to rest of the community that it is an offense. It is what you're doing wrong. So one get committed, convicted, so the other listen and learn from it. Our community, by brochures and, notes and things and that, the only people will read, it doesn't affect them. But those actually who are the affected, they will never pick up and read. So how are you going to send the message to those parents who need to know this message, which they're never going to attend your meeting? You never manage to get the message to them. So I'm asking, especially police, if there is such a way, not really going out of line, but a way of sending a message to those parents who they know, I don't know, are committing this offense. So it can solve the problem, a message can be highlighted. Because previous experience, not on this matter touch, there's a lot of other issues I've been through, but the people who really need to be sending message, you never see their faces. They never attend your meetings. They never open the newspaper. So you got to look at it, how we going to send a message to those parents who really need to know this message.
Often, and not being pejorative, but we are talking about the lowest common denominator here. All criminals, regardless of what colour they are, where they come from, they're not the nicest people. They're not the people that will come to meetings and sit with their daughters and say, I'm supporting my daughter, because they're not like that. And the only way that we can get through to those people is by saying, well, you do this, you will lose your liberty and you're going to jail. And I think at the end of the day, that's where we go with these, that's what we try to do. But we've obviously got to, at the same time, we've got to take into account the people, the victims and so on. And we've got to acknowledge their safety as well. And that's where, again, back to the point that I came from to the start, that's the difficulty. If they don't want to help themselves, it leaves us in a really difficult position.
As